My name is Josh Patterson, and I am the Executive Director of the BC Civil Liberties Association, which is Canada's oldest and largest human rights and civil liberties outfit based here in Vancouver. 2 weeks ago, as you know, Parliament passed the new Citizenship Bill, which introduces sweeping changes to Canada's citizenship laws. This law makes citizenship harder to get, and it makes it easier to lose. The so-called Strengthening Canadian Citizenship Act does exactly the opposite of what its title proclaims. It weakens Canadian citizenship. In Canada, lawfully obtained citizenship has always been permanent. Once you become a Canadian, you are always a Canadian. But now the government is turning that upside down, and they are making citizenship less secure, making the citizenship of some Canadians worth less than the citizenship of others. Under this new law, no longer will all Canadians have equal rights of citizenship. Instead, there will be different kinds of citizens. There are going to be first-class Canadians, Canadians who hold no other citizenship, whose citizenship is protected forever. And there will be second-class Canadians who either are dual citizens or have the right to obtain citizenship somewhere else because of their family history. They are going to have fewer rights than the first-class Canadians who only have Canadian citizenship. This law makes it possible to eliminate a dual citizen's Canadian citizenship without even having to go to court in certain circumstances. It means that Canadians will be vulnerable to faceless government bureaucrats abusing their power. What's it going to do? Like I said, it's going to push Canada back to the Dark Ages by reviving exile as a punishment for certain serious criminal offenses, espionage, treason, and terrorism. And citizenship will be able to be taken away from those people without a court hearing. They're just going to have a paper-based hearing. That is how countries punish people hundreds of years ago, before we developed a modern legal system with prisons and rehabilitation. And this is just wrong. We say if a Canadian is convicted of a crime, we don't say they should be able to get away with it. Fine, they should face justice, and if they need punishment, they should be punished and rehabilitated and all that sort of thing. But we should be doing that here in Canada with our own justice system. We should not then be saying that you are exiled, you are banished from your homeland, using banishment as a punishment, and letting bureaucrats and ministers do that, not a court of law. This new law is going to put people who've moved here from undemocratic countries or countries that don't have a good respect for the rule of law at risk. Not just people who commit these offenses here in Canada. It's wherever in the world, and that means people who may be dissidents in other countries, that the home country decides, well, we don't like that person very much in their activism. Let's have a trial and convict them in absentia. They're over in Canada, but let's just have some trial. Any of those people could be vulnerable to having their citizenship taken away. But it gets worse. Anyone who becomes a new citizen after this comes into force is going to have to convince the government of their intent to reside in the country. Now, there's a whole bunch of problems with that, not least being that it's not the government's job to enforce where citizens live. Citizens have the right to live here, to live somewhere else, to live wherever the heck they want, to come and go as they please. That's part of citizenship. But anyway, this is going to be a huge problem that puts new Canadians in a state of uncertainty. If you are born here, you can move wherever the heck you want. No one is ever going to tell you that you can't. But new Canadians, after this law comes into force, are going to have to think twice about whether or not they decide to take up that job abroad, whether or not they decide to go to school in Paris or in London or in Amritsar. So it is a very, very problematic law for all of those reasons. The U.S. Supreme Court has actually said this, that citizenship is not a license that should expire because of someone's misbehavior. It is not, citizenship is not to be used as a weapon to take away from people, to express our displeasure at their conduct. That's actually an enshrined constitutional right in the United States. We want to make sure that that right is recognized here in Canada.